They did, but I want to be clear about something. I think that this is a small but incredibly loud and influential faction of the Democratic Party. This is not indicative of all Democrats. This is not indicative of all Democratic lawmakers. This is a small group of activists who like to bully, who like to go to city council meetings, who like to go to various rallies and essentially be loud, be threatening, be aggressive until they get their way. And for far too long, the Democratic Party has been terrified of these little mobs of people, these little mobs of activists, and have basically just carried out what these activists want.
All right, folks, hold on to your marbles because Anna Kasparian, yes, from the Young Turks, just ripped into the woke activists and the Democrats enabling them. She doesn't hold back in this clip, calling out everything from failed policies to the complete eraser of common sense. She gets pretty worked up in this interview on Piers Uncensored, and trust me, you're going to want to hear every word. So let's get into it. We'll give you guys our feedback as we go through it. As always, let's get into it.
And I just think that they need to be a little smarter than falling prey to the whims of various activist groups, because they are not representative of the majority of Americans. The majority of Americans, especially in a state like California, want homeless people to be housed, but they also understand that this issue is far more complicated than the housing first policy of throwing anyone who doesn't have a home into an apartment, right? Because the fact of the matter is we have severe mental health issues out on our streets right now, people who are struggling with severe drug addiction. Some of these people actually do have families to go to or homes to go to. They need a different type of service. They need rehabilitation, not harm reduction, where we're just passing out needles and crack pipes thinking that it's going to solve the problem.
Finally, some real talk about homelessness. The woke crowd loves to make it sound like every homeless person is just a victim of the evil capitalist system. But guess what? Some of these folks have serious issues, mental health, drug addiction, that no amount of free housing is going to fix. Throwing people into apartments without addressing their underlying problems is like slapping a band-aid on a broken leg. It's not compassion, it's negligence. What happened to common sense? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
It has not solved the problem. It has made the lives of these individuals struggling on the streets far worse, and it has also made the lives of hardworking, tax-paying Americans in states like California a lot worse. When I look at my life right now and I ask myself, which political party has made my life worse? It's not the Republican Party. Locally speaking, the Democrats have complete control, and they have nearly destroyed my family's livelihood. Okay, we are living in trash and squalor everywhere. And unless the Democratic Party actually acknowledge these issues and solve these issues, rather than stealing our taxpayer money and funneling it to their nonprofit friends, they keep doing this, they're going to keep losing.
Wow, wow, wow. I truly never thought I'd be hearing these words coming out of Anna Kasparian. That's how you know things are bad. Anna, someone who spent years rallying against Republicans, just admitted the Democrats have done more damage to her life. That's not an easy thing to say, but it's the truth. And honestly, how could it not be? Look at California. Sky-high taxes, rampant homelessness, crime out of control. You can't just keep blaming Republicans when your own policies are turning the state into a dystopian hellscape. Democrats, take note. If you're losing people like Anna Kasparian, you are in serious trouble.
And I'm going to keep speaking out against them. I don't care how much they hate Trump. I don't care how naughty the Republicans are being. Right now, the people having a negative impact on my life is the Democratic Party, and they need to change their ways. When we say we want to change the status quo, it doesn't mean we want to live in anarchy. It doesn't mean that we want to have $24 billion of our taxpayer money in California stolen by these nonprofits. It means that we want working people to be rewarded for their hard work. We want affordable housing. We want better working conditions, higher wages, better health care. These are things that Democrats used to purport to want to do. They don't do any of it anymore. And so I'm done with them until they change their ways.
Yeah, I completely understand it. You also got blowback when you posted, "I'm a woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus or a person who menstruates." How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this shit. And I completely agree with you. The way that language about women has been eradicated at the altar of transgender activism, I find utterly obscene. Then you add the ridiculous assault on women's rights to fairness and equality in sport, the invasion of women's safe spaces. You know, we had a First Minister of Scotland, the head of the Scottish government, who had to resign because she took a male rapist and put him into a female prison when he just put his hand up and said, by the way, I'm now a woman, because he wanted to get out of a male prison where he'd be treated badly and get near to new prey. That was Nicola Sturgeon. She was the first Minister of Scotland. It's incredible. But the reaction you got, I can imagine what it was, because we've seen what happens when J.K. Rowling and people like that, and when I've done it, you put your head over that parapet, you get unbelievable abuse and threats and so on. Is that what happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, I did not expect that tweet to go as viral as it did. I didn't expect the kind of hatred I got in response to it. But look, that's okay. It's fine, right? I'm a public figure, and whether I like it or not, I signed up for any type of, harassment, abuse, whatever that you get online as a result of stating your opinions. Look, the main point I want to make about the transgender community is that these are human beings, okay? They deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. And when it comes to any issue that has a real impact on their lives, housing, employment, all of that, there should be protection for this community, and we should respect the fact that they're human beings. At the same time, there are some issues that arise where the rights of one group, in this case, the transgender community, kind of conflicts with the rights of another group, the rights of women. And what I think is important is that we actually have a real dialogue, a civil dialogue, about how we move forward in a way where both parties feel that they're being treated fairly and with dignity. I think that needs to be the foundation of the conversation.
Having a conversation sounds nice in theory, but here's the problem. You can't have a conversation with people who only want to lecture you. The woke activists don't want dialogue, they want submission. They want you to agree with them on every single point, or be labeled a bigot, a racist, or whatever buzzword they're throwing around this week. How do you move forward when one side refuses to even acknowledge the other's perspective? Spoiler alert, you can't, which makes this pretty difficult.
Right, but I do not like, for example, I like flying a lot. I fly with British Airways normally, and I'm used to a nice, smooth-talking British Airways pilot announcing, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your flight." They're not allowed to say that anymore. They're not allowed to use the words ladies and gentlemen in case there happens to be somebody who doesn't identify as a lady or gentleman on board, right? Which is likely to be a tiny, tiny number of people, right? On a plane of 600-700 people, how many are we talking? 1, 2, maybe none, right? But for them, the entire language about the vast majority of people has to be eradicated, to which I say, where are my rights to be called a gentleman? Or a woman's right to be called a lady? It may seem a small thing, but it's all part of the same process of eradicating gender-specific language for a tiny minority and against the interests, in my opinion, of the vast majority. Where are our rights as the majority to actually have the language that we would like?
Well, I was unfamiliar with that story. What do they say in lieu of ladies and gentlemen?
They just use gender-neutral language, so I can't even remember. But it's like they call us passengers, and it's all just very stilted and gender-neutral, as you now see in hospitals and schools and everything else. I mean, I know there's a girls' school in England, for example, which is actually called, I think it's the Altrincham School for Girls up in the north of England, but you're not allowed to call the students who go there girls because there may be trans people offended. But they've kept the title of the school as a girls' school. So they sell entry to this school to prospective parents as a girls' school. But once your little girl goes there, no one will call her a girl, including the teachers.
That makes no sense. If it's an all-girls school, why would it be
ludicrous.
A problem? I guess
Obviously,
if there
it's ludicrous.
Yeah. Yeah, look, the way that I basically deal with this is I have a team of producers that help me produce the Young Turks daily. And I always refer to my team as, or like if I'm texting them about an element I need for a story, I'll always text with, "Hey guys, I need X, Y, and Z." Most of the people in my team are actually women. And so none of them are, I actually asked them, I'm like, are you guys at all offended that I say, "Hey guys"? It's just kind of the way we spoke. Like in my generation, we kind of address a group of people as, "Hey guys."
Who cares
and
anyway?
they're totally fine with it, because guess what? Because guess what? Most people are fine with it.
Yes.
Most people don't care. I
Yes.
just want to go back to what I said earlier about the small, loud group
Yes.
of activists.
Yeah.
Just because they're louder doesn't mean that they're representative of the general population.
This line ties everything together. The woke mob isn't America. They're just the loudest voices in the room. They dominate because too many people are afraid to speak up. But here is the thing. The silent majority needs to stop being silent. If you don't push back, these activists will keep dictating the rules for everyone else. Speak up, be louder. That's the only way we're going to reclaim common sense and get rid of this woke insanity.
Yeah.
I really do think that it's up to these various entities, these various, governmental agencies to kind of take a stand. And I think
agree.
in some cases, our language does change, and I think it makes sense. But in some cases, it changes because you have activist groups pushing for it and it doesn't make sense. So let's be a little smarter. Let's use our common sense.
The third thing that you cited was the story of a guy called Jeff in your apartment block who you became friends with before you realized he was a Trump supporter. And that changed your view of what a Trump supporter actually could be like. Tell me about that.
Well, I think that in Trump's first term, a lot of people placed themselves in silos. So I was very much in a left-wing silo where I kind of refused to have any kind of relationship with someone who had voted for Trump. And so as a result, I was allowing kind of like the Democratic Party and mass media to paint a picture of all Trump supporters without really investigating it. I just kind of accepted what their summation was. Jeff, who I love, and I kind of feel bad because now like a lot of people are talking about him and he didn't ask for me to mention him. But anyway, I met him at a time when I needed help. Like I was moving into this building. My husband wasn't available. He was going to a fire academy training. And so at that time, I'm like lugging my husband's heavy bicycle up the stairs. And Jeff comes across and just says, can I help you with that? He grabs the bike and he basically helped me move in.
Wow, the Trump supporter turns out to be a good guy. Shocking, right? Not to anyone paying attention. The media loves to paint Trump supporters as these evil caricatures, but most of them are just regular people. Kind, decent, and willing to help their neighbors. And a story is a reminder that people are more than their politics, and especially what's shown on the news. Maybe if we all stopped judging each other based on who we vote for, we'd actually make some progress.
And this guy doesn't know me. This guy really had no reason to help me, but he dropped everything he was doing and decided to dedicate the rest of the day to helping me out, getting to know me. And throughout, the subsequent weeks and months, we got to know each other better. Really, really sweet guy. And then one day we're at an HOA meeting. I remember we're sitting together on the couch as the meeting's going on. And a woman in our building stood up and she said something negative about Trump. And I was shocked because Jeff whispers in my ear, if she's going to be trashing Trump, then I'm out of here. And that made me realize, he's a Trump supporter. And so I investigated that a little more. I was curious about his politics. He was a lifelong Democrat. He loved JFK, voted for JFK. And he just said, I feel like we should support our president, even if it's someone that you did not support, you did not vote for. He's our president now. And so he explained where he was politically, but it actually didn't matter to me because I got to know who Jeff was as a person prior to understanding or knowing about his politics. And so that didn't just wake me up to how Trump supporters are not a monolith. It woke me up to the fact that all of us are complex human beings. And we should not have one side of us or one element of who we are define the entirety of our character,
right,
or the entirety of who we are as people. So that's what I was trying to say.
I agree with this point completely. Humans are far more complex than a simple idea that is implied onto us. I thought that should be pretty obvious, but there you have it. Anna Kasparian just dropped some harsh truths about the woke left in the Democratic Party. Love her or hate her, you've got to respect the honesty. This is the kind of conversation we need more of. These are the kind of conversations we need more of, where we're calling out hypocrisy, pushing for common sense, and refusing to let the loudest voices in the room dictate the rules for everyone else. However, I'd love to hear what you guys think. Is Anna right about the Democrats? Are the woke activists taking things too far? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.